Hello, and welcome to another Dark Desires episode of We Only Look Thin.
Wow.
I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach.
Yeah.
I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 7 years. My dark desires have led me astray many times. And
Many
with me
times.
today is...
Donald Weigel, also filled with dark desires. Most of them involve dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I have lost about 100 pounds, kept it off for about 7 years, and we are here to talk about it. Was Dark Desires a TV show of some kind or something? Or am I imagining that?
There was, it's something vampire-y related. Like, usually people think, like, oh, forbidden, Calgon.
Yeah.
Like, oh, romance.
Calgon is forbidden?
I don't know. It's, like, indulgent and, like, I don't know. No, wasn't the Dark Shadows. Were you thinking of Dark Shadows?
Yeah, there was Dark Shadows. I don't know if there was, like, a fake soap opera within some other show called Dark Desires.
I don't know.
Anyway.
But usually it seems it's salacious.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of more salivacious.
Oh, yeah.
Because food...
All of my dark desires revolve around food.
Yeah, we talk about sexy food talk. But I think it's something that we... You know, in Wolt the other day, We Only Look Thin place, someone asked, what are people's biggest problems? And most problems were related around what happens after dark, calorically, in the kitchen, the most dangerous place to be at night. And I know for me, and I know for many of our listeners and people in Wolt Place, we are full of motivation in the morning, aren't we, Donald?
Oh, yeah.
We have ideals. We think like, okay, yesterday sucked, but today is going to be different. I got last night's snacking out of my system. I've pre-tracked. I feel motivated. Everything's going to be fine. And then the day happens.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get home, we're exhausted. We talked about this on the Ability Chain series. We're exhausted. And you know what would be fun? A way to unwind, a way to honor myself and all the things that I put up with during the day.
No, what could that be?
The reward is snacks.
Yeah.
Crunchy snacks, sweet snacks, salty snacks.
I think people know
all
what kinds of snacks there are. But like, it's the classic pattern, what you've just described. That classic pattern of, I'm not going to change anything, but today I will just muster the willpower to do it differently. I won't change my routine. I won't change my strategies. I won't do anything differently. But today I'm going to avoid the nighttime snacking. And that's what we tell ourselves, or whatever it is. You know, we say, well, I'm not going to do that thing I did every day previously for the last 10 years. I'm not going to do that today.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to change anything, but I'm just not going to do that thing.
Right. And I think too, you know, there are so many times when we think, if only my partner or my roommate didn't eat snacks, then I wouldn't be tempted.
Yeah.
If only I lived alone. If only I lived with others, then I wouldn't do all the secret eating I'm doing.
Right. If only I had kids. If only I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
If only I worked from home. If only I worked at an office.
It's always, if only the circumstance was different, then I would be different. But really, unfortunately, maybe that's why, I don't know, vampires can't look in mirrors, but we, non-vampires, can look in mirrors. And when we look in that mirror, we realize that the problem is us. We find loopholes of ways to not take responsibilities for ourselves. And I can fall into this category as well. Like I said, at the beginning of the day, we're full of motivation and promises, but promises don't count for much. What we can do is come up with new ways to approach our evenings to set ourselves up for success, not by accident, but by intention. And like I said, whether we live by ourselves or with others, we have the opportunity to have some agency in the way we manage our health goals. Because if we keep doing the same things over and over again without changing anything about ourselves, we're just going to be disappointed and shocked every single day when things do not go our way.
Yeah, so we have come up with, and by we, I mostly mean Catherine, have come up with sort of 5 broad categories, 5 tips, if you will, for managing your evening snacking. And look, maybe not all of these will suit you, but some of them probably will. And you can try some of them out. And if they don't work, you can try some other ones and until you do find what does work for you.
Yeah, I think my problem in life is that I try to be exhaustive and come up with like 900 things that you can do. But I think the important thing to do is like we can teach you how to fish, but you need to actually do the fishing yourself and figure it out for yourself.
And fish is not a common evening snack. So
tinned fish.
So if we teach you to fish and that's all you have around to eat, maybe you won't snack
you'll be so
much.
bored and like disgusted.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so Donald, why don't you launch us off?
So the first one, and this is sort of a cornerstone of what I do, is to plan your evening snacks. And that is not to try and cut snack foods entirely out of your life. Like for me, I found that never really worked. I would do it for a while, but then eventually I would want a delicious treat and I would stop myself from eating those things for so long that when I did finally have something, it would just open the floodgates and I couldn't stop myself. So plan your evening snacks, work them into your plan. So one thing that I do is I plan a dessert every day after dinner, and that's where I eat my snacks. Usually it's like 150 calorie bag of chips, or sometimes if I've saved enough calories, it's 2 of those. Or I'll have like some cheese as a snack, or I'll throw in a mini candy bar, something like that. Something that is single serving, that I can't just bring like a Costco sized bag full of to the couch and eat, but it's pre-portioned. It is a reasonable calorie count, 150, 200 calories. Catherine has all kinds of sweeter treats that she plans into her evenings, but pre-track them so that they're already in the calories. I've seen my total calories for the day, or like as I'm making my dinner, I'll put them in and I'll see that I have enough calories for them. And then I have planned them into the day. And so I have that treat for kind of the end of the day to look forward to. So I am evening snacking in a sense, but it's all part of the plan, and I'm not just like winging it, which is where I really run into problems.
Well, and I think as part of that too, that pre-planning is pre-portioning. Like Donald said, if I like never take a full bag of anything to a second location, because you're going to end up eating it all, even if it's that like, I'll only have half and then put it away. I do not rely on my future self to make great decisions. So planning in advance by putting things into pre-portioned containers, having things that take a while to eat is also helpful. So like a single piece of chocolate, I can eat it in 10 seconds. If I pump up the volume by adding strawberries to that, kind of like making it more of an experience, having hot chocolate, which is sippable and enjoyable over time. Especially when other people are snacking, you can feel left out if you're just like, well, I'm just sitting here thinking of good wishes. Like it can feel sad. So having something planned in advance, pre-portioned out that you can enjoy in tandem with those around you is really important. And then again, having that sort of go to. Right now I have a few different things that I'm going to, but they're pre-portioned, and it helps me, especially with that, like I'm closing the kitchen, this is what my snack is, it's already tracked. Then it takes away that evening negotiating. I think it's that nighttime negotiating with yourself of like, what do I feel like? That's where, that's the voice of the troubled me, the dark deeds me. So what else about snacking?
I just wanted to say first that thinking good wishes might be emotionally satisfying, but not not physically
It's a
satisfying
fool's
in the
errand.
same way that a snack is. Another thing to try is to, and look, this sort of goes a little bit of the opposite tact of what I was just talking about, but keep your snacks out of sight.
100%.
Or if there are particular snacks that you have tried to plan for and tried to work them in to your dinner, your calorie count day after day, and you just find yourself like you eat your 150 calorie version of that snack, and then you find yourself going back for another and another and another, and you know that it is a problem for you, keep those all the way out of your home.
Yeah.
And it's, you have to decide whether you're going to abstain entirely from these things. Like for me, most things I do better on when I don't deny myself them completely. But I know that there are some things and there are some people for whom you have that first bite and you can't stop yourself. But with that said, the snacks that you do keep in your house, keep them out of direct eye line so that you're not constantly seeing them all the time. Like I keep snacks in a bottom drawer of the refrigerator. I literally keep some snacks in a box under our bed so that it is a real, like I don't ever see them until I actively go looking for them. And I have to make a conscious choice that, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm not just sort of willy-nilly grabbing something out of a cabinet that has caught my eye, but I really have to make an effort to go get it. And it really does make a difference mentally about how much of that snack I eat and when I eat it.
Well, and BJ Fogg talks about removing the prompt. And if we make it harder to, if we can't see the foods, we're not going to think about it as much as if it's sitting right in front of us. So removing that prompt is really a big part of that. And like Donald said, if there are foods that you find difficult to control at home, change the circumstance. I abstain at home, but every Friday after final pickup at school, we go for, let's say, ice cream. Keeping ice cream at home is a challenge for me, but on Fridays after school pickup, we go to the drive-thru at Burger King and get a soft serve cone for 200 calories. So you're still keeping it in your life, but not bringing a giant half-gallon home that could sabotage you time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so another part of that, and I think that your evening actually starts in the morning with your other choices. A lot of times people undereat during the day, and then by the time they get home, they are ravenous. Maybe they've had I've had a single cottage cheese and 2 cherry tomatoes. And
goodness, I've done this many times.
I am so virtuous. And then by the time, and I used to do this too, by the time I would go for school pickup and our daughter lost 7 articles of clothes, 3 backpacks, 2 water bottles, I don't even know where all of this stuff is. We would just walk around the playground trying to find the detritus that she had left behind all day.
Oh my goodness.
By the time I would get home, I was frustrated, I was hungry, and then I would make emotional food choices because I'd been great all day, now everything is ruined. So a way to prevent yourself from the hangry evening, just snacking around, is to eat more protein and fiber throughout the day. In the last 3 or 4 months, actually, I have switched to having Fiber One breakfast cereal for old people.
Not a sponsor.
AARP. Do you have an AARP membership, everybody? Fiber One cereal might be for you.
Might be for you.
So again, pumping up the volume in the daytime instead of 1 Ritz cracker with, a slice of cherry tomato on top. Pump up the volume, get in fiber, get in protein, have foods that are filling and satisfying. carbs tend to not be satisfying. 100 calories of crackers is much smaller in volume and much less satisfying than 100 calories of watermelon. You can basically quarter of a watermelon for 100 calories. So pump up the volume, keep your satisfaction high. For me, I also, and this is going a little bit afield, but it's like you don't want to go into, nighttime when the sun sets. You don't want to go in hungry. Go in satisfied. For me, eat it like keeping a bag of 100-calorie nuts in the car for the drive home. It like you eat it and then you might still feel snacky, but it takes you 20 minutes to feel full by the time you get home.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm not starving now because I ate something on the way home instead of, trying to grit my teeth and bear it and then come home starving. So again, more satisfaction comes from protein, from volume, and it helps curb that, I've been so good all day, and then you become a different person at night. Don't go into the dark hungry. That's what I say.
Exactly. Also, in all seriousness, I know you were joking about Fiber One being for old people, but I have seen multiple places where they estimate as many as 95% of adults do not eat enough fiber. And that is of all ages. So Fiber One cereal might be for you regardless of what age you are.
Well, and it has really helped me in many ways. And not everything you eat needs to be a party. So Fiber One, it's not a party, but it gets the job done, and that's good.
That's their official commercial.
It's not a party. I'm not going to lie to you.
But it gets the job done.
It gets the job done, like Chopin.
Okay, so the next one is a bit multi-layered. And the tip is to keep track of your feelings.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
And
I just want to eat them. They're delicious.
Exactly. I'm going to explain this one, or attempt to help you manage this one in a couple of different ways. So the first one is that emotional eating, that idea of soothing ourselves with food, often comes from things like stress or boredom or sadness. We have a hard day at work, and what is a quick and easy way to comfort ourselves? That is from eating food that we know tastes good and that immediately makes us feel better. But the downside of that is then later, at least for me, I would feel shame and regret and sadness all over again because I had told myself, well, I wasn't going to eat all this food. And then I did anyway because of the emotions.
Well, and I didn't even realize that I had an emotional eating problem. I just thought I had a bad boss problem.
Right.
I'm a jealous coworker. Nobody works harder than me. Nobody is more, put out than I am. Nobody cares as much about, cleaning the house or mopping or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I had terrible boundaries. And all of that lack of boundary turned into revenge eating because I didn't know what to do with all of my emotions. We've done full episodes on boundaries, Dog the Boundary Hunter. I can't remember the other clever names right now.
Yeah, I don't know. We've probably done at least eight or 10 episodes on boundaries.
But boundaries are huge, and so often unmet expectations when we feel like we're disrespected, when we're overwhelmed, when we overextend ourselves, we turn to food as a reward. And for me, recognizing the link between my emotional eating and my nighttime, I gave everything to work. I gave everything to my family. Now I've got 10 minutes and I am just going to eat whatever I want as my physical reward for all the other ways I compromised myself today. And feeding your feelings is not dealing with them. And we can track calories as much as we want, but if we don't actually address our emotions and our, prompt to emotionally eat, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
I'm going to straight shooter, everybody. It's going to be tough.
So a couple of actual suggestions. One is, when you have maybe after the fact, maybe the next morning, you know, in the cold light of day when you're not feeling those emotions, actually keep track of the particular emotions that are causing you to want to emotionally eat. Keep it in a journal, keep it on your phone, you know, something. But actually keep track of like, and then realize, okay, what are the things that are really making me eat the most, or that are doing this the most often, and then actually try and deal with those feelings, which I know can be easier said than done. But another option, which really worked for me, was to really ask myself before I was going to eat something, be truly honest with myself and say, am I eating this because I'm hungry and because it's within my calories? Or am I just tricking myself that those things are true? And is it really because I'm trying to soothe myself with food? And I found personally that if I was really honest with myself about the reasons that I was eating something, that it made it much harder for me to actually go through with eating it when I caught myself in a lie. When I was saying, I'm doing this because I deserve it. I'm doing this because I had a hard day. I'm doing this because somebody was mean to me. And I realized that what I was actually doing was punishing myself instead of, you know, realizing that making the healthy choice of not, you know, punishing myself with food was actually going to be the thing that was going to benefit me in the long run.
Well, and I think that point of like, what am I avoiding right now? What big feeling am I trying to, you know, stomp out by eating right now was such a huge thing for me. Again, I had no idea that emotional eating was really a thing.
Yeah.
I just thought like, well, of course I'm going to eat now because that's the only like light in my dark day, which sounds sad, but it's like, this is my reward for being put upon and overworked and underappreciated. And once I recognized that it is my responsibility to tell people what I need, what my boundaries are, to tell people how I'm feeling about things, it let off so much pressure to like, when you're holding everything in, we use food as a reward for that. Again, this is a huge topic. I'm sure we could do, you know, a 10-part series on it, but just recognize that instinct to eat, to avoid either a problem that you're facing, something you're overwhelmed with, and just addressing and being realistic about that, like Donald said, I think is a really a step in the right direction for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the last one is, and this again goes back to the ability chain for BJ Fogg, is that sort of planning part. How can I redesign my evening to better suit my objectives and my goals? So much of our lives are connected to prompts. When I sit down on the couch at night, that's when the snacks come out. Like couch equals snacks. You know, going into the kitchen and doing dishes, and then like maybe it's even like, oh, well, I need to make the kids food for tomorrow. Like, oh, well, when I go in the kitchen, I'm near the food and I'm opening the pantry and I'm like managing yogurt pretzels for my kids. I'll just have some. Like, I don't know why I'm eating, everybody. Like, hey, maybe the routine needs to change.
I know, like, I don't even love yogurt pretzels, but if they're right there in front of me and they're easy to grab, I'm probably going to grab them.
Well, and that part of the routine, I know Donald talked about keeping unhealthy snacks out of sight, but if you're going into the kitchen and opening up the cupboard to get a head start on tomorrow, you say tomorrow. Like you're a folksy kind of like you're wearing overalls maybe.
Yeah.
But like when you set yourself up for failure, you are setting yourself up for failure. Get away from the kitchen. Change your routine. So often I don't do dishes at night. And I know, thank you, Donald Weigel. I appreciate you. Donald will do the dishes.
Well, you heard it here, folks. She appreciates me. She put it on a recording.
But I try to stay away from the kitchen at night. Once the kitchen is closed, like, you know, in royal ceremony, it is better for me to not go back in the kitchen because proximity gives me the opportunity to, let me just see what's in the cupboard, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the suggestions is like creating a different evening routine. Change up your routine. Maybe it's instead of showering in the morning, maybe you close the kitchen and then you change your environment. You go and get a shower at night instead of in the morning. So instead of sitting in the living room, you go into the bedroom. Maybe you're reading or watching TV in there instead of the living room. Again, because we just sort of get into the habit of sitting on the couch equals food. If we change our location, it can change our habits. And that also means potentially talking to the people that you live with and letting them know, like, hey, like, I'm not going to, like, literally, oh, well, my partner puts the bag of potato chips between us on the couch. Hey, partner, like, not like howdy partner, but like, hey, person I live with, move the bag of chips to the other side so that I'm not going to grab them.
I thought you were suggesting that you might have to talk to the other people you live with to keep yourself from eating.
No, I mean, like, actually,
I know, I get it now.
Look, I can do, and I've talked about it before, and a couple of people have reached out for me talking about secret eating. When other people don't know what your intentions are, it's really easy to secret eat either in front of people or by yourself. Secret eating can be done in front of others or on your own, wherever you are. Like we said at the beginning, if only I lived with others, if only I lived by myself, if only, things were different. But we need to take agency in what we're doing and like be vocal about what our intentions are. I know for me, once I stop telling Donald the kitchen is closed, that's me like, oh, well, I'm just going back for another,
yeah.
And even like this is our job, and I can still secret eat in front of Donald because I'm hiding my intentions. And that sort of secrecy leads me to like, oh, well, nobody knows. No one's going to know that I'm doing this. No one knows that I'm eating more. So switching up your routine, being more honest about what you're doing, changing your routine tonight starts with your next morning. Planning my evening snacks tomorrow morning, pre-tracking, pre-measuring, setting things out so that I'm not, tempted. Looking at your kitchen right now, what is on your counter? Like, what visually are you seeing that is reminding you to snack? Put it away, put it out of sight. Again, focusing on more fiber and protein throughout the day, not going into your evenings starving, pumping up the volume with fruits and veggies, making sure you have snacks that you can enjoy, but that take a while to eat. Again, maybe that hot cocoa that we talked about earlier. I don't know why I can't speak correctly.
I don't know why it's pronounced like that.
Do you know?
Hot cocoa is very different than hot cocoa.
I'm not suggesting this because I know the environment is a thing, but like, do you know that Keurig pods for hot chocolate, you can just like not use a Keurig. You can just open it and then it's just chocolate powder, basically.
Why are you telling people that?
No, because like I didn't.
Because now I want to go get I don't even know if we have any. I want to go get one and eat the powder.
We have some, but I'm not going to just eat the powder. Sorry, I didn't know powder was a prompt for you. But like I was like, oh, I don't want a whole Keurig or whatever, and so I was like, oh, I'll just sprinkle a little bit. Oh, it's fine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You can cut this out in the end. But like change up your routine. Manage your, look at managing your feelings. These are a lot of ideas right now, and you're probably just like, never mind, I'll just eat the food. And
you're going to catch me in the kitchen, like snorting straight cocoa powder now out of a Keurig cup, and it's really going to mostly be your fault.
Good. Oh, yeah. Okay. Blame game, everyone. We only look thin players. Don't do that. Don't blame me for whatever.
No, but don't do that.
Okay.
I'm joking.
But pay attention to your feelings. watch your routine. Notice the habits that you just do without even thinking about them, and think about how you can change up your routine to set yourself up for success. What foods maybe don't work day to day, but that you can have on special occasions or when you're out and pairing them with other things. We've talked about so many different options. Again, this episode isn't meant to be the all-inclusive, you'll never evening snack again out of control. But the more present we can be in our choices and remind ourselves, if you just take one thing away, like, how can I make this easier for myself? How can I set myself up for success? What is making it hard to do? What would make it easier for me to manage my evening dark desires? I make it sound so sexy when I say dark desires.
Dark desires. But, it's going to take some experimenting. You don't have to choose one of these things to try or change one thing and then commit to doing that forever.
Yeah.
Try doing something different. It's what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. If you keep doing exactly the same thing over and over again and you don't change anything, then nothing's going to change. You'll keep falling into the same patterns and eating the same snacks over and over again. So try to mix something up and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then mix it up a different way or mix up something else. And really until you find a pattern that really does work for you.
Yeah. And the problem with being an adult is that we are generally unsupervised.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing that we have our own money and our own place and can buy whatever we want and can call upon the internet to deliver food to us. Like, the world is set up for us to have total freedom, and that is terrifying. And if we don't actually put some constraints on ourselves and take responsibility for our actions, no one is going to save us from ourselves. No one is going to knock the food out of your hand. No one is going to intervene with your purchases. We have the opportunity to kind of take some ownership of our choices and be responsible for our emotions, our environment, and our routines. To really, if we want this to work, we have to put in the effort. And it might be uncomfortable. It might feel like, oh, well, everybody else gets to eat whatever they want to eat, but no one is going to save us from ourselves. So we have the opportunity to just employ one of these things, try it out, and see if it works for you. Because the more we can control our evenings, the better we can control our whole health and weight loss goals. There.
That is true. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You have taken a step in controlling your weight loss and health goals by doing that. And we've got a whole lot more episodes out there.
Oh my gosh, so many.
So
many.
The most recent 300 are all available on all of the major podcast platforms. And you can also go listen all the way back to episode number 1 anytime on YouTube or at our website, weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on the link for join our support group to find out more about Wolt Place. Wolt Place is our Facebook-based accountability group with an average of 6 live interactive Zoom meetings a month. If social media isn't really your jam right now, the value that you get out of Zoom meetings, both each month and then our recorded backlog, there's so much great content, so many great ways to stay connected. We have daily check-ins. Again, we've got Zoom meetings and just a community of women who are all on different parts of their health journeys, staying accountable, staying present, and really being vulnerable through all of these. Like, if someone's like, well, just don't bring it home. Like, just do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we all recognize that we come with different challenges, but we're all vulnerable and open. And I think there's so much amazing group connection. So please check us out. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
Yeah, so please check it out. And you can also check us out on social media if you are so inclined. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin. Or if email is more your speed, you can email us to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. If you have an episode suggestion, if you have a tip for how you have gotten over nighttime snacking. We would love to hear about that. If you have a suggestion for an episode, if there's a topic we haven't addressed in a while, or something you haven't heard and you'd like us to address it, please give us a shout out. Or if you just like to say hi, give us a compliment. Once again, you can do all those things to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you could head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review, not only does it let us know that what we're doing after all of these years is making a difference in your life, but it also boosts our ratings and helps other people find our podcast. We really do appreciate every single 5-star review and positive comment that we get. We put a lot of our heart and soul into this year after year, week after week, taking our time. And so if you could just let us know that we're making a difference in your life, it really, really does matter. So thanks.
It really does. And another thing that would really matter is if you would just give us a shout out. If you're talking to somebody, if you know somebody who might get something out of the show and you recommend our podcast to them, it really does help the show grow. Or if you are on a web group, an internet group, I don't know what words are anymore.
An internet group,
a web group. If you are on like a Facebook group, a Discord server, a subreddit, and it involves the topic of weight loss and fitness, and you give us a shout out, point somebody in our direction, it really would help us out and help the show grow.
It sure would. And if you are shocked to learn that you do not need an AARP card in order to buy Fiber One cereal, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.